high eminence, such as the office of Deputy President, so much is expected of them. Unfortunately, from my own personal interaction with the Deputy President, and shortly I will give some examples, I feel he has fallen short of the expectations of that high office. I first came across Mr. RIGATHI GACHAGUA in the late 80s when we were at the university. And as a matter of fact, he was ahead of us, and I think he was heading one of the district student organizations. He had cleared university, but he had not exited. In other words, he had become a pirate. That was the terminology we used then. He was residing in some place called State House Residence. And what I used to hear about him was not very impressive. But nonetheless, on October 7th, 2023, which was exactly 1 year ago, in some place called Murngia, Alego, at the homestead of the late General Francis Omondi Ogola, together with Mheshimiwa Elisha here, Mheshimiwa Nyamita, Honorable Jalango, I've seen him somewhere, and His Excellency the President, we did meet with the Deputy President. And it was about 6:45. He received us warmly, but we were guests of General Ogola. And as you'd expect, a man of his status, you expected some decorum, temperance, prudence, good behavior. But unfortunately, some of these attributes were not present in his conduct. The Deputy President on that occasion did stand up and tell the President to our face that he had come down to get him from the Nyanza tour that we were undertaking, and that he had no business staying for too long in Nyanza. I looked at him and I wondered what was the problem with his compos mentis. In other words, was he of sound mind? And then I asked myself, we were the guests of the late General, why would he want us to exit the homestead of General Ogola? And it bothered me very much, because clearly that was what you and I, as lawyers, we call animus nocendi, intention to harm. Why would he insist that the President has no business being in Nyanza? He said it to our face 3 times, interrupting General Ogola when we were being briefed about the attack that had just been conducted by Hamas on Israel. That was my first time to interact with him very closely. The second time was on April 30th, 2024. 28th April 2024, this year, when we had floods in Suba and several people died. I did communicate with him by way of text. I sent him pictures, including that of a gentleman who had lost 3 children. And I asked him to avail to me the state resources that I could use to alleviate the pain and loss of my people. He did not respond. He did not call back. He did not show any interest. On 30th April 2024, I did contact Honorable Kagushia, who was sitting next to him at a rally in Nyeri. And I saw Honorable Kagushia whispering to him my message. And they texted me back that the Deputy President would come back to me. He never did. On 6th of May 2024, I again reached out to him in his capacity as the coordinator of relief. He did not respond. I support this motion, and I want to say this. What I found with Honorable GACHAGUA is lack of education. Obama says, education is not a name of any degree or certificate that can be shown to others as proof. Education is the name of our attitude, actions, language, and behavior with others in real life. I'm on behalf of people of Suba South, I am supporting this motion, and I want to inform the House, our role today as a grand jury is not to establish beyond reasonable doubt any of these charges. Our role is very simple. Our role is to say we have found triable issues, frame the charges, leave that trial to the Senate. And once we do that, we shall have discharged our duty. Mr. Speaker, I fully support.
Thank you. Your time is up. Kanjori.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And Honorable Speaker, let me also add my voice to this very important motion. And let me start by saying I support the motion to impeach the Deputy President. Honorable Speaker, it should be understood that this is a motion that this House is making an attempt to save this country from a bad, divisive leader. Honorable Speaker, and allow me to thank the mover of this motion, Honorable Mutuse, for the courage that he has shown, and the 291 members who have signed this motion. Honorable Speaker, I say the courage because, Honorable Speaker, for a very long time, Kenyans have been watching helplessly, including the President of this country. They've been watching helplessly the Deputy President moving around this country, dividing this country into shares and dividing this country in tribal lines. Honorable Speaker, let me say my reasons for supporting this motion. First reason, Honorable Speaker, in 2022, the country suffered a very bad drought, and the government responded by giving relief to the pastoral communities whose families, most families were left without able to feed their families. Honorable Speaker, the Deputy President took most of that relief food to areas that were not affected by drought. Honorable Speaker, Kenyans should understand that this is not a motion or an impeachment against a tribe. It is a motion to impeach an individual who has shown, to use the majority leader's word, a black man with a black hat. This is a man who has shown that he does not care about the country, but his interest is in a small region. But it is actually interest that is driven by self-interest. It is not that he loves that region. We have seen that what he has amassed wealth for himself and not for the region. So, Honorable Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Wamshomba. I thought you normally sit this side.
Thank you.
Yes.
The temperatures there are too high. Mr. Speaker,
Go ahead.
I rise to defend the Deputy President, RIGATHI GACHAGUA, against what I am calling mob justice, a process that has not given him the right of reply, a process that has gone on, presented some fact charts to the villages, and disseminated information to the members of public without giving him the opportunity to defend himself.
All your horses, Wamchomba. I was consulting with KJ. I didn't hear what you said. Can you repeat? Can you repeat what you said?
I can't hear you, Mr. Speaker.
Repeat what you said. I didn't hear. I was consulting with Honorable Member for Dagoretti.
I have said I rise to defend the Deputy President, the Honorable RIGATHI GACHAGUA, against a process that I feel, personally as my opinion, it is mob justice against the Deputy President, because he has not been given the right of reply before we went for public participation. That is what I've said.
Honorable Wamchomba.
According to the standing order here.
Honorable Wamchomba, that is neither factual nor legal, because the Deputy President is appearing before this House at 5. So be factual.
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
Please allow me to execute my point, and you can guide. Procedurally, Mr. Speaker, the fact sheets that were distributed in our constituencies had allegations that were read out to members of public as facts. So to me, the fact sheets that were distributed in our constituencies were fact sheets that were communicating facts. But from where I come from, Mr. Speaker, what was typed in those papers was not factual and needed to be interrogated. And I'm glad that the Deputy President is appearing in an hour's time here to come and clear the air. Mr. Speaker, before I defend and I give my submission, I request you to allow me to refer to the Standing Order number 91 on responsibility for statement of facts. A member shall be responsible for accuracy and facts for whatever allegations that comes and disseminates from this house. Mr. Speaker, this morning we were watching video clips on our television in this house. Those video clips that were played in this house were reported speeches that were reported from various media houses in this country. Mr. Speaker, according to the Kenyan Constitution and the Data Protection Act, it is our duty to clarify information before we disseminate and use it for a quasi-judicial process like we are handling today. Mr. Speaker, I would want your guidance whether those media clips that were used this morning in the floor of this house by the mover of this motion, whether those media clips were qualified to be used in this process of impeachment. Mr. Speaker, my other issue is, I will be glad that the mover of this motion clarifies that the allegation around the corruption issues on procurement matters have been taken through the right areas of Auditor General so that we can have fact to discuss this afternoon. Otherwise, according to me, the allegations that have been tabled by the mover of these motions are mere mudslinging, they are hearsay, they are gossips, and they must stop. And Mr. Deputy President must continue working for this country with all the energy, with all the labor, and with all the love that he has had. And those that feel that Mr. Deputy President has been biased into Mount Kenya politics, please forgive us, but we must tell you, everybody has their home. The Deputy President comes from Mount Kenya, and every good thing starts from Jerusalem. Even Jesus had to start his good work from Jerusalem. We are the Jerusalem. We shall continue allowing the Deputy President to do the work he's been doing in Mount Kenya, even as he tries and attempts to work in other parts of this country. I have personally escorted the Deputy President in other areas outside Mount Kenya. I know Mr. Deputy President has tried. It is barely 2 years before Mr. Deputy President continues with his work. Please allow him space to work. 2 years are not sufficient. Even for the members in this house know very well, they have also not been able to do what they promised their voters during campaigns. We are all elected members here, and we know we made pledges, and 2 years are not sufficient for anybody to use that as a basis to judge anybody on the performance. I support that the Deputy President be given the opportunity to serve this country, and those that are attacking the Deputy President for working on behalf of the Mount Kenya region, they must also accept that everybody has a village where they come from, everybody has a home where they come from, and every good thing starts from Jerusalem, just like Jesus Christ did. Asanteni sana, and I refuse. The Deputy President is going nowhere. He's going to stay here to serve us. To serve us as we gave him votes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this very important motion. Mr. Speaker, an English saying goes that a sheep lives its entire life afraid of the wolf, only to be slaughtered and eaten by the shepherd. To the people of Mount Kenya, you know we are farmers. You know we have tea, we have coffee, we have milk, and that is the food crops that we rely on. Mr. Speaker, I happen to be elected as a director of KTDA, where we hold small-scale tea farmers and where we do business for the farmers. Mr. Speaker, we have had a problem, a huge problem, of monies being diverted to the said hotel in Kilifi. Last year, the money that was supposed to be going to distribute fertilizer, 53 million shillings, Mr. Speaker, was diverted to go to personal use at a hotel. Mr. Speaker, as we speak here, as we stand here, the people of Mount Kenya have been burning their tea bushes and factories because we have a glut in Mombasa that has been occasioned by the influence of the Deputy Speaker who was given, by the Deputy President who was charged with the responsibility of making sure that those people who voted the government in benefit and reap from their hard work and their sweat. Mr. Speaker, they will not see the hard-earned money that was supposed to go to their pockets because the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, after being charged with the responsibility of making sure that we have guaranteed minimum returns for those farmers, he continued to go and give guaranteed minimum returns to himself and to his family, to his children, to his spouse, and to his colleagues that we have seen they share companies with. Mr. Speaker, as we stand here, we have lost our milk industry. We have lost our coffee industry. You have seen that we have cooperatives where farmers are now stuck with their coffee. Because, again, the person who was charged with the responsibility of making sure that the sheep is safe is the one who went, took a knife, and ate the same sheep. Mr. Speaker, I know there might be some tension and people from the mountain feeling like everybody has been talking about the mountain, but even the mountain people are suffering, even us, because there's someone who just hides under the pretext that he's an honest man, he's a truthful man, but he's a truthful liar, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I want to say this: the seat of the presidency is a symbol of unity in this country. And when the deputy president stands and accuses the NIS, like he did in Mombasa, we live in a community, and even the people who are in the intelligence sector live in a community. There is a community, a world community of intelligence. When you disparage such an office, such a high office that is supposed to make sure that you protect and give us protection in this country, Mr. Speaker, that to me is gross misconduct and it is impeachable. Mr. Speaker, when you go to State House and you say that you have put traps for some people not to access State House, yet they are members of this republic, yet there are people that we respect like Raila Odinga, Honorable Raila Odinga. Mr. Speaker, we say that we cannot continue like that because we had lived a very good life before this campaign started from 2022 when people say that we are going to vote not anymore along the tribal lines. But we have seen that we have someone who has been given position of power and he has decided to use it for his own personal aggrandizement. Mr. Speaker, the people who are watching the interview yesterday, they sat and asked, how is it that the people who are of age and people who've been doing business have not been able to access 600 million shillings in a bank? How many business people here have accessed 600 million shillings and what is their collateral? Mr. Speaker, you have had the Deputy President lying in front of the television, saying that he has gotten this wealth from his brother, yet we know his brother has his heirs who are his sons and his widow, and those people are crying in Nyeri. The same way, people who are my members of parliament, my constituents like Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, is crying. His goats were eaten the other day in Roiro. And he's the one who sanctioned the eating of his goats. In fact, he then comes and lies to us that he has apologized to the president, to the former president, who is not in the country.
Your time is up. Ken Chonga.
Ambao nataka kuyazungumza, lakini kwa kwamba kweli kuna mbinguni na kuna hera, nafikiria Rigathi Gachagua atakuwa kuni za kuchoma ambao watachomwa. Na kisa na sababu mstahiki Speaker ni uongo ambao kwamba Deputy President ameujaza katika matamshi yake. Jana jioni nilichukua muda wangu, mstahiki Spika, kumsikiza hoja ile ambayo kwamba alikuwa anaizungumzia. Ninashukuru kunipa nafasi hii kwa sababu mmoja kati ambaye aliguswa pale ni mimi. Mimi nikiwa mbunge wa Kilifi South ama Kilifi Kusini, ile hoteli ya Gachagua pale mahali imejengwa iko eneo bunge langu mimi. Na yale aliyozungumza bwana deputy governor jana ulikuwa ni uongo mtupu. Sorry, deputy president. Kitu cha kwanza, mstahiki Spika, wakati King Charles III alipokuja ndio aende atembelee kule chini Kuruwitu, alikuwa amekuja kwa mwaliko wa Kuruwitu Conservancy CBO. Na wakati alipofika kwa Kuruwitu Conservancy CBO, mkutano ule haukuchukua zaidi ya dakika 30, akaenda Vipingo Ridge. Ile barabara ambayo kwamba aliomba kwamba itengenezwe kwa sababu angetaka kuhifadhili Vipingo Kuruwitu Conservancy, ile barabara haipitiki. Lakini deputy president akaona amepata nafasi nzuri sana ile barabara, baada ya kwamba iende kwa Kuruwitu Conservancy, akachukua ile barabara akaijenga, akiipeleka kwake hotelini, imeshia pale kwa hoteli yake. Na ninaongea kwa sababu mimi pia nimejenga hapo. Bwana deputy president alisema kwamba watu waliomba hiyo barabara ijengwe, kulikuwa na public participation. Ni kweli kabisa, tuliomba ya kwamba barabara ile ijengwe, lakini hii kwamba ni uhusiano wake yeye na wenyeji wa Kuruwitu, kwamba ni uhusiano ambao ni mzuri, wanaelewana, na kwamba hata mbunge eneo hilo anajua. Mimi nasema ashindwe katika jina la Yesu. Siyajui hayo. Sikuhusishwa kuhusu barabara ambayo alimepeleka kwa hoteli yake. Tatu, bwana Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, Deputy President alisema ya kwamba barabara ile inafaidi watu wengi sana ambao kwamba wanaishi maeneo yale. Akataja kwamba kuna Vipingo, Shariani Secondary School. Mimi ninajua mahali Shariani Secondary School ipo, wala haifaidiki na ile barabara. Akataja kuhusu Shariani Primary School. Shariani Primary School ukitaka kuaccess unaipata kwa hiyo main highway ya kutoka njia panda ya kutoka Mtwapa kuelekea Kilifi na kuelekea Malindi. Kusema ukweli kabisa, yale aliyokuwa nazungumza kuhusu wekezo ule ni wa uongo. Tatu, ile nyumba ambayo kwamba ilikuwa ni ndugu yake, sisi tulijua toka ilipokuwa zamani. Na ukweli kama utafatwa, itabainika wazi ya kwamba bwana deputy president aidha awe alinunua kutoka kwa ndugu yake ama awe amemuibia ndugu yake. Ni jambo la kuhuzunisha. Akisema ya kwamba mali ile yote ambayo iliachwa, yeye ameachiwa percentage fulani kubwa kushinda wale watoto. Kama ukweli si uongo, basi si anasherehekea kifo cha ndugu yake. Ni nani mwenye akili zake timamu ataacha urithi au peane kwa ndugu yake, asahau watoto wake, asahau bibi zake, asahau binamu zake, hali yeye anasema kwamba yeye ni mtu uko na mali? Mimi sijawahi kumuunga mkono kwa lolote, na ninajua nyumba hii iko na hisia tofauti kulingana na masuala ya deputy president. Wakati nilipeleka public participation Kilifi South, 95%
Give him 1 minute.
Na asante sana mstahiki Spika. Na asije akasema ya kwamba yeye alichaguliwa na watu sijui milioni 7. Na ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba sisi ambao tuko hapa kama wabunge, sisi ndio tuna represent wale watu ambao walitualika pale. Kwa hivyo asiseme kwamba sisi hatuna uwezo wa kutoa amri au mamlaka ya kwamba yeye agatuliwe mamlakani. Langu ninasihi, wakati umefika. Unajua Mungu akitaka kukumaliza hukuweka kichaa. Mimi sijasema kwamba deputy president akona kichaa. Ninasema tu ya kwamba matamshi yake kama hata chunga yataelekeza kwamba tumshuku katika akili zake. Asante Musaiki Speaker.
Bashir.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I want to make it clear that I support this special motion by Honorable Mutuse. Honorable Speaker, there are 11 counts as contained in this special motion. What these 11 counts in total summarize and talk about is gross misconduct and issues of integrity. The holder of the office of the Deputy President is not a small man. He is just a heartbeat away from the presidency. Looking at the behaviors, actions, utterances of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua shows you that he does not befit to hold the office of the Deputy President. Honorable Speaker, time and again, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has been talking about Murima, Murima, Murima. But one thing I want people to know is that the same Murima has people who have been elected by the same representative and who are in this house representing the people of Mount Kenya. Rigathi Gachagua is not the sole representative of Mount Kenya. They have MPs, they have women reps, they have senators, they have governors. He is supposed to represent each and every part of this country called Kenya. Unfortunately, he doesn't understand that bit. Sometimes in July, in a well-attended press conference in Mombasa, intelligence services, and especially in the person of the Director General. Now, look at this case. The Deputy President is a member of NSAC, the National Security Advisory Council. He sits in that council. If there are issues that he has with individuals running those institutions, the best place will have been that council. Now, you've been the Deputy President of the country. Instead of addressing matters in a perfect and constitutional manner, you address the press and taint the images of such officers, critical officers of security. That itself is quite unfortunate. Honorable Speaker, I listened to the press conference last night. One thing that perturbed me was the issue of His Excellency saying, I have gotten all these wealth from my brother. Now I'm asking myself, he doesn't have wealth of his own that he can tell the people? How come he is the one who gets more of the shares than the widows and the orphans? It's also unfortunate that the same Rigathi Gachagua was at one point a district officer in 1997. He was sacked for stealing relief food. What is relief food supposed to go to? To the vulnerable people, vulnerable community of that area. He stole the relief food. We cannot continue to entrust one Rigathi Gachagua with the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. We call upon this House to make history for the first time under the new Constitution to say that Rigathi Gachagua does not befit to hold the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. The President and the Deputy President are supposed to work in harmony. They are not working in harmony. The President sometimes goes out of the country.
Sorry. Ruth Odinga. Give her the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I rise today not just as a member of this esteemed house, but as a daughter, a sister, and a proud descendant of those who fought tirelessly for the freedom we hold dear. I urge us to reflect on the values upon which our great nation was built as we consider the impeachment of the Deputy President. I want to take you back to the times before independence. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga is one of the people who fought for independence. And the colonialists actually offered him to be to become the president of Kenya. He declined and left that for Jomo Kenyatta to become the president. And in 1964, Jaramogi became the first vice president of the Republic of Kenya. Exactly 2 years down the line, like the 2 years we now have with the deputy president, Jaramogi decided that due to the ideologies that he was holding, which differed from the president, he decided to step down and leave the position of vice president, not for his own good, but for the greater good of the Republic of Kenya. He actually stepped down. I would like, in my own statement, to ask the deputy president that Kenya is larger than you. Kenya is a big country that we need to protect. If I were you, Mr. Deputy President, please take the honorable route that some of your predecessors had taken, like Jaramogi, and step down from this position of presidency. Don't take Kenya through the valley of the abyss the dark abyss you want Kenya to go through. Secondly, I would like to say something. I was not one of the people who was actually wanting this impeachment of the deputy president. I felt that the deputy president's impeachment was not the main problems that we were having in Kenya, and that we had other issues. But having heard how the president spoke last night, I am completely convinced from that statement that the deputy president must go, and he must go as soon as possible. One of the reasons why I say that is that we are not here for our personal grandiose and our personal wealth. Kenya, if the deputy president is mourning because his father is going to turn in his grave because of the wealth that is being accused of, I wonder what the people like Bildad Kagia, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, and all those who fought for us to get through this, to get to where we are, through multi-party. Oginga Odinga and all went through house arrest, detention, to make sure that we get the multi-party that we are enjoying in this country, the democracy that we are enjoying. How are they feeling in their grave when now the deputy president is talking about making Kenya a company? What company are you talking about, and shareholders? When Kenya is a country that we have a sovereign country in Kenya. Mr. Deputy President, I was a bit on your side, but you have hanged yourself with your own rope. Whoever informed you to go to the TV yesterday did you a very big disservice. And for that, I support the motion.
Buri.
Asanti Bwana Spika kunipa nafasi hii. Yangu ni kidogo sana. Nikusema eti ya kwamba tunataka naibu wa rais yule ambaye si mkabila. Kwa sababu nchi yetu ya Kenya ni kubwa sana kusinda mtu. Tukiongea mambo ya mlima, kule kwangu Tigania East, tuko katikati ya mlima. Lakini ukiangalia katika hii kitabu ambaye, ukiangalia haya mashtaka yaliyo katika kitabu hii, ukiangalia ile mashtaka katika kitabu hii, ile zile kampani zote ziko hapa ni za Gachagua, bibi yake na watoto wake. hakuna Mutigania, hakuna Mwegembe, hakuna Muimenti, hakuna Mluya. That means yeye mwenyewe alikuwa anatetea tumbo yake. Ndipo mimi niko hapo kusema eti ya kwamba sisi atupembelezani. Sisi tunasema kwamba lazima aende nyumbani kwa sababu amekataa kuangalia mambo ya wananchi wa Kenya, na Kenya ni kubwa. Ingine ni hii. Mimi nimekaa kwa East African Community kipindi ya miaka 5. Nilikuwa na Jematia ambaye ni nanda yangu. Katika kipindi ya miaka 5 sijawahi kusikia Jematia akiwa no malaya, lakini naibu wa rais alisimama akasema kwamba Jematia ni malaya. Ya kwamba mimi nikiwa Mpono Mtwabori na support naibu wa rais aende nyumbani. Asante sana. Thank you.
Women Rep Busia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support with a lot of strength this motion because many times I thought I was a tenant in Kenya. And I know I was born and raised in this nation. When a leader of a national figure discriminates openly, I left myself wondering if we can keep allowing to be divided every day, and yet as leaders we must be a factor that unites all Kenyans. I want to ask the Deputy President, what message was he sending to Busians who voted for Honorable Maina in Marachi West, in Butlak sub-county? And what message was he sending to Busians who voted for Honorable Talam in Buhayo West, in Matayos, Busia County? We should be free from Mombasa to Turkana, any person of any race, any tribe, to stand and be elected without being pointed at as this one belonging to a particular region and that one not belonging to our region. Because Kenya is our country and we are here in this country to build it. If we don't join, because if you go as an individual, you are a drop in the ocean. But together as Kenyans, we are an ocean. So I want to ask again, what other thing a principal assistant is supposed to do? According to me, unless you have a shrunken hippocampus in your brain, then you go displaying what your master is doing instead of being the real assistant of even covering up. One day he says, I was sent all these things I was saying. I was sent all these things I'm saying. It's like he is wearing an oversized coat, oversized trouser, a tumbo cut vest, and oversized shoe. He does not understand his role as a principal assistant. We must unravel from the sins of our fabric in this country. Because sometimes you can be wearing a dress or a trouser, but something keeps biting you. Unless you unravel or open up the seam to know what is biting you, you will continue losing blood and become anemic. So people of any nation are stronger than the people in power. All leaders in this nation must be responsible of the utterances they puke every day, because what will our future leaders be saying? I am, or who is our role model? Who is their role model? All of us must be responsible not to give hate speech anywhere we go. And I don't think there is a tribe in Kenya that is superior than others. Whether you come from Eastern in Garissa or you come from Siamahanga village where I live, you are equal. Article 27, Section 4 is clear about this, that we should not discriminate. When I hear a widow in Mount Kenya being tortured, being snatched property by the deputy president, whether she is Kikuyu and she's a widow, she is representing all the widows in Kenya. So GACHAGUA return the matrimonial property, the bank accounts, everything that you took from that widow in Nyeri. Because I was raised by a widow and I know what happens when such things happen. A widow should be given their rights, whether you have all the muscle in the nation. And thirdly, a leader who does not respect women, that one is not a leader. calling women prostitutes. So when a woman is being a prostitute, who is the other prostitute? Then he must be the one. Because if you call me a prostitute, was I doing myself? There must be somebody in a trouser too. And we do not want to be discriminated. We have been dating, marriage. We marry Kikuyu, Luya, Teso, Kamba. That should continue happening than us growing up or children fearing to marry from Mount Kenya or fearing to marry from Nyanza. That is wrong. So Deputy President must go home. We really want him to just take a rest. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Muya, what is your point of order?
Speaker, I'm standing on standing order number 91 on matters of facts and substantiating what the member is speaking of. The issue of Malaya have been adversely mentioned in this House. Have you as the Speaker received anything to substantiate? Honorable Speaker, it is on record that the Deputy Speaker, the Deputy President has been closing the whole country, campaigning for the same women, especially in Mount Kenya where he was assigned. So it is unfair that members can continue repeating, you cannot substantiate, and there is no evidence. We should have evidence.
Honorable members, order. Take your seat. Honorable members, I want, with your concurrence, to reduce the time of the speakers to 2 minutes. Is that agreed? Is that agreed? For the purpose of the record, I'll put the question that we reduce time for speakers from 5 minutes to 2 minutes. As many as of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Didymus, 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I want to be very clear that I support this impeachment motion. I say so because Kenya, we have more than 42 tribes. And it was never our permission to decide which tribe you belong to, Honorable Speaker. And we want every part of our country to feel part and parcel or properly represented by our Deputy President. The continued dividing of our country in shares, Honorable Speaker, in terms of how many votes that a particular area voted for the government, Mr. Speaker, it is making parts of this country feel like they're not part of this country. I think, in a nutshell, Honorable Speaker, because of time, I want to summarize what I want to say by saying that Kenya as a country, the position of the Deputy President, it requires a patriot. It requires an individual whom, when he speaks, the country listens with optimism. It doesn't require an individual who, when he opens his mouth, part of this country begins to bleed. This country doesn't require a villager in the name of the Deputy President. It requires a patriot, a statesman. And this House, Mr. Speaker, we will go down in the history of this country because the war against tribalism, the war against segregating this country along shareholding lines, it's a war that we have come a long way, Honorable Speaker. It's a war that we vowed that we must win it in installments. And today we are paying the last installment. RIGATHI GACHAGUA must go home. Not by walking, but by running, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Member for Wajir West. Please here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. First, I rise, Mr. Speaker, reluctantly but firmly in support of all the articles of this motion. Mr. Speaker, I say reluctantly because of the following reasons. Normally, Mr. Speaker, as a Muslim leader, I don't rush to support this grave matter like this to remove the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya from office after just 2 years of election. But because of the conduct, the behavior of the Deputy President of this country, Mr. Speaker, I have no option but to support this motion. Mr. Speaker, I am a witness who went to the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya to request for assistance during the drought season, to request for relief food for the people of Wajir West. But the utterances of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya was shocking, Mr. Speaker. He told me, Mr. Speaker, and I want to confirm to this House, that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya told me you have more than your share. It was shocking. I was dejected, hopeless, and left the office in protest, Mr. Speaker. Who disrespected and discriminated against the people I represent in this House. Mr. Speaker, today, as we speak, it's a historic day. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, for unity of this House, of the country.
Your time is up. Your time is up. Member for Tetu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You have 2
Mr.
minutes.
Speaker, from the onset, I rise to oppose this motion, to this special motion on removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, when a man is down in the spirit of Ubuntu, it is not good to crush him. On Sunday, the Deputy President at the National Prayer Altar stood and apologized profusely to his boss, to fellow Kenyans, and indeed to all the members of this House. Mr. Speaker, I feel that our party, UDA, on which the Deputy President was elected, has internal disciplinary mechanisms which have not been exhausted so as to bring this matter to this House. I also feel that in the spirit of us finishing the agenda that we promised Kenyan, this matter can wait to 2027 so that we can focus on service delivery to our people. Mr. Speaker, I will personally request the members of this House to find it in their heart to forgive the Deputy President. And I will personally.
Mr. Speaker, you have had honorable member telling this House that in UDA they had not exhausted their disciplinary mechanism. Why did he then decide to sign on the motion? Why did he sign?
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. The matter of...
One day to finish up.
I did not finish.
Go on, you have half a minute.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, the matter of my signing, you talked about it, and the matter is rested. Wanjara can come to your office for further explanation. Mr. Speaker, I personally would like to volunteer to lead other leaders in this country, elders, bishops, to ensure that we sit down with the Deputy President so that if there are any issues that he needs to correct, if there are any issues that he needs to align, he can align so that himself can continue serving the people of this country. He has some good in himself, and that good needs to be preserved so that he can finish his work. So, Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose. Thank you.
Umi. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the motion of impeachment because of many reasons. Mr. Speaker, as a young person and as a representative of the House for the Youth, I wonder how many young people of this country can walk into a bank and access a loan of 600 million shillings without any guarantees of any sort. Mr. Speaker, this is a representation of impunity. The Deputy President stood before the media yesterday as a national leader to defend his children. I respect that he stood to defend his children, but how many children of this country has he given a chance for them to access the same benefits? Myself included, I cannot access a loan of that amount of money. Mr. Speaker, this impeachment motion is not just an impeachment because of difference of ideology, but it will be a symbol of democracy for our country, that people who abuse their powers can go home, regardless of whatever position they hold. Mr. Speaker, I come from Garissa County. We lost residents from my county at an accident. as they were accessing to cross a river because of the flood scandal. Mr. Speaker, out of the 10 billion shillings that he had under his pocket, he only gave us 48 million shillings and disappeared and never showed up again. Mr. Speaker, what can 48 million shillings do for people who are suffering? Mr. Speaker, he did not even step in Wajir and Mandera. This is a deputy president of the whole country. I support the impeachment. He must go home and create a room for other people to get that position. Maybe it's time for other regions to be deputies so that we can get the same benefits. Mr. Speaker, I can even do a good job myself. Mr. Speaker.
Your time is up, Jen Kagiri. If you read the Constitution, you'll know that you don't qualify to be a deputy president at your age. Jen Kagiri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this motion. Honorable Speaker, when I was elected in the year 2022, in the month of August, I was a very grateful person to God, and I knew my work was to serve the people of Laikipia County. A county that is cosmopolitan, that has Pokot, that has Turkanas, that has Maasais, that has Samburus, that has the Muslims, it has the Somalis, and all these people, inclusive of the Kikuyus, came together and gave me their votes. That is what comprises of Laikipia County. Honorable Speaker, the point at which I differed with His Excellency the Deputy President is when he started talking about Mlima. I realized Laikipia County is not Mlima after all, because Mlima, people have running water from taps. In Mlima, people have tarmac roads. In Mlima, people don't suffer human-wildlife conflicts. But in Laikipia County, we have all those challenges. So, Honorable Speaker, that was the first point where we differed. The second point, Your Honorable Speaker, is when there was the talk of 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. In Laikipia County, we are among the counties that have the least population. When you talk of 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote, it means you are talking of reduction on resources for my people. That one I would not accept. Honorable Speaker, I remain a Kikuyu. But sadly, since our difference in opinion with His Excellency the Deputy President, I have been the poster girl of his intimidation, of his insults, of his blackmail, of his coercion, telling me that I should not engage the national government, that I should not follow up for resources for my people. Honorable Speaker, once in a while, a generation is called upon to stand for something. Today, I stand for an end to insults, a respect to the dignity of leaders, a respect to my people, Honorable Speaker.
Give her a minute. Give her, okay, wind up.
Honorable Speaker, in my conclusion, I must state, many people have called us traitors, have assumed money has been received for this action. But Honorable Speaker, I want to make it very clear. I need no money for the restoration of dignity in this house. I need no money for the restoration of respect to women in this house. I need no money for resources to reach my people of Laikipia County. Honorable Speaker, I submit and I support. Thank you.
Oundo.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, my attention is drawn to Article 125 of the Constitution. And Article 125 of the Constitution makes reference to the effect that any matter before that the Parliament has got the same powers as High Court. Out of that, Honorable Speaker, then I'm left to look at the evidence presented by my good friend Honorable Mutuse and wonder, does it really meet the threshold of any form of evidence as required at the High Court? Honorable Speaker, I have looked at the various options or breaches that constitute impeachment: gross violation, crime, gross misconduct, and so many other things, Honorable Speaker. I'm at pain, Honorable Speaker, going through this to find anything that has been proved beyond reasonable doubt to move this House, Honorable Speaker, to take such a drastic action. Considering, Honorable Speaker, these are people elected under Article 148. And the framers of the new constitution, Honorable Speaker, deliberately inserted Article 148 to avoid the kind of abuse that had been there in the past. Honorable Speaker, if we get to this level, Honorable Speaker, if we get to this level, everybody will be left wondering, what is the role of Parliament in protecting the Constitution? Honorable Speaker, and I want to rephrase Luke 23, verse 4. I find no case against this.
Ruku. He didn't ask for it. Ruku. He didn't ask for any addition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from onset, I rise to support this motion. Mr. Speaker, when I'm standing here, I'm thinking about the children of the most remote places in the Republic of Kenya. I'm thinking about the children in the remote places in Turkana, in Mandera, in Bere, very remote places, Mr. Speaker. It reminds me on Article 10 of our Constitution, which talks about the national values and principles of governance. And one of the principles which is enshrined in our Constitution, Mr. Speaker, is protection of the marginalized. We have seen the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, who in many occasions has forgotten that he represents even the most marginalized places, corners of our country. That the numbers of these small communities in the Republic, they have the right, just like any other big community in our Republic. We have seen the smirk, the arrogance, the contempt which the Deputy President of the Republic has to the minority groups in the Republic of Kenya. And coming from a marginalized community, a community which has been marginalized from 1963, Mr. Speaker, I want to state here and now that it's high time we sanitize the office of the Deputy President. Mr. Speaker, last week on Sunday,
Your time is up. Your time is up. Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also stand to support the motion by my good brother, the Honorable Mutuse, in impeaching the person of the Deputy President of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, under unwarranted discrimination, in contravention of Article 27, Part 3 and 4 of the Constitution, the Deputy President has in so many occasions expressed that he only considers people he considers shareholders. Honorable Speaker, on the two occasions that the Deputy President came to Gusiland, on the first occasion while addressing leaders, he told us that the reason why, as Kisses, we should not demand for more things from the government is because we always vote for Mutu wa kitendawili, to quote him. On the second occasion, the Honorable Deputy President told us that siku hizi wa Kisii tumejaa jela kushinda wa Kikuyu. I'm wondering, Honorable Speaker, when did he do the statistics to note that sisi kama wa Kisii, we are the most criminals in this country? And Honorable Speaker, as I finish, I just want to remind the Deputy President. Yesterday, he spent a lot of time reminding us that he is an orphan. And yet he forgot that there is one orphan that the Deputy President kept saying that he has put for him mitego in State House. The Honorable Deputy President forgets that even the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is an orphan. Why did he forget that he was putting for him mitego? I just want to tell the Deputy President that because of the utterances that you make against people of Kenya, you must go and you will go home. I thank you.
Malolo Njendi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I arise to support this motion strongly. Mr. Speaker, this country has once suffered tribal clashes. Mr. Speaker, the Deputy President has been always talking about Central Kenya, Mlima, etc., etc. Mr. Speaker, whipping up tribal feelings. Mr. Speaker, if we allow the Deputy President to continue holding that particular position in the country, Mr. Speaker, what will happen in this country is that most of these other tribes will feel domination of this particular community, will feel intimidation by this community, and they will rise up, gang up against the community of Central Kenya, not because they are liking it, but because of his sentiments and because of what he speaks. Mr. Speaker, this person has been in office for 2 years, but he appears not to have had the conscience to know the kind of office he's holding, and that's why he speaks the way he speaks of regions. Mr. Speaker, I wonder how.
Order, honorable members, order.
I wonder how a person holding that kind of office can keep on talking of Kuweka Miteko State House for people who did not vote for this government, not to enter, not to access. Mr. Speaker, because of Kuweka Miteko, kila mahali kwa kona State House has affected some of us when he was still very active in State House, blocking us from accessing State House. Mr. Speaker, the whole issue of shares, I want to tell people from Western Kenya, we are suffering from this because of his input and insisting, embarrassing the president. When he wants to help persons from West Kenya, he says those people don't deserve to have the share they're having in the government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Robert Mbui. Robert Mbui.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Being in leadership, I'll give you 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I've noticed, listening to the arguments that have been passed here this afternoon, and also earlier in the morning, I've noticed that it's getting a little personal, and I'm feeling a little jittery, because I know the subject matter is a person who is a family man with a wife and children, and friends and relatives, and they're all listening. So I think maybe I will start by reading the Bible so that we can bring down the temperatures. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32 says, "Be kind, compassionate, and forgiving to each other in the same way God forgave you in Christ." Now, verse 31, Mr. Speaker, says, "Put aside all bitterness, losing your temper, anger, shouting, and slander, along with every other evil." Mr. Speaker, as a member of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya, I didn't believe in the leadership of Kenya Kwanza. I opposed it from the beginning. Mr. Speaker, I am vindicated now because I can tell the people of Kathiani that I said that this government is rudderless, is leaderless, is planless. And Mr. Speaker, is also merciless, because within a very short time, the center can no longer hold. Mr. Speaker, former Senator, now Governor James Orengo, famously said in Senate that governments eat their own people. Former leader of majority of the National Assembly, Duale, was eaten by his government. Today is a CS. Former Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Kidhura Kindiki, was eaten by his government. Now he's also a CS. Former Chair of Budget of this National Assembly was eaten by his government. Today is the majority leader. I don't know. We are now eating Rigiji. Where will he end up? Mr. Speaker, I have an issue of concern, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, is a Deputy Leader of Minority to assert that I was eaten by my own government, Honorable Speaker, whereas he knows I was never eaten by any government. I only stood firm against tyranny. I stood firm against the bullying that I experienced under that regime. The same bullying I have stood firm against a Deputy President today who has been bullying members of Parliament. And I have only put my chest forward to defend the rights of all these members, including the Honorable Robert Mbui, who was Honorable Speaker, when the Deputy President visited Kathiani. He said to the Honorable Mbui that these Kambas are too few. They can never make a president. Kalonzo can never be anything. How can you defend a person who has disdain for Kalonzo Musyoka, a former vice president of this country? Mbui.
Robert Mbui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I love the passion and the humor in the majority leader. But Mr. Speaker, I'm also impressed by the energy that I've seen in this house. The vigor, the passion from morning. I mean, it is the first bill or rather it's the first motion where this House has gone up to public participation in the constituencies. Mr. Speaker, I only wish that the energy that we are expending here to send a question to all Kenyans about one individual was being used to fight the issues that are failing us in our education, in our health sector. People here, the cost of living has gone too high. People have no jobs. Mr. Speaker, those are the things that this House should passionately deal with. But Mr. Speaker, for a whole day, and from, I don't know, even the last week or 2 weeks, to deal with one matter, Mr. Speaker, I think that we are losing direction. And it is important, Mr. Speaker, that we deal with the things that are affecting our people. Because, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the education sector, I talked about it here the other day. We don't even have classes for grade 9 going into JSS. Mr. Speaker, the funding model for university has failed. Mr. Speaker, the insurance sector, NHIF, is having a problem, Mr. Speaker. How then do we spend taxpayers' money and time to come and deal with a matter of one single individual, Mr. Speaker? Now we are told that this person, Mr. Speaker, is a tribalist. But Mr. Speaker, those comments that he made, yesterday he made it very clear. And I was shocked. I was very shocked, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, to realize that in fact Kenya Kwanza was actually a company that is limited by shares and that people negotiated shares for themselves. The mover of the motion is a member of MCCP. MCCP negotiated shares for Lower Eastern. Mr. Speaker, because we had 2 cabinet secretaries in this government. Now, Mr. Speaker, we only have 1. And I'm telling you, Mr. Speaker, actions speak louder than words. The Deputy President may have said that he is a shareholder and there are issues about his community, but if you look at the appointments that are being made in Kenya, then you will realize that the person of the President himself is the one who is the biggest tribalist, Mr. Speaker, because he's appointing people from his own community for every position. Mr. Speaker, if we have to find a situation where a school has failed, you do not fire the deputy principal. You get rid of the principal. Our problem is not the deputy. It is the head himself.
Farah.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, Farah.
Mr. Speaker, I was standing. Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
Robert Mbui, you are normally more decent than that.
This is a house of... Mr. Speaker, protect me. Mr. Speaker, my point of order is this. This is a house of rules. This is a law-making body. This is the place where our constitution itself was passed. You cannot bring, talk about a president or even any other head of state of a friendly country without bringing a substantive motion. So you cannot discuss the conduct of the president. And by the way, I want to correct you. You might...
Point is out of order.
Your point of saying that governments...
Take your seat is out of order. Kahangara. Yes, use my card.
Honorable Kahangara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Hold on a second, they're going to put for you the mic. Clark, just yes, I can see the mic. Take the one next to Mheshimiwa Fulamu. Take that one, yes. He's gone to the one you had given him.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this motion. And I want to say that from the onset, I am in support of the motion, the special motion for the impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Madam Speaker, let me say that this country, Kenya, is a country that is is led by a constitution, by laws, and a country that is led by of democracy. In this country, Mr. Speaker, Every 5 years, Kenyans go to elections to elect their leaders. And after elections, for people to assume office, they take an oath of office where they say that they are going to respect the Constitution, they are going to protect the Constitution of this country. Mr. Speaker, when the Deputy President took oath of office, he promised that he was going to respect the Constitution of Kenya. In his responsibilities, we are told that the President is a symbol of national unity. He's the one who is supposed to be uniting this country and also to respect the diversity of the various communities and tribes in this country. In the same Constitution, it says that the Deputy President is the principal assistant to the President. So if he is the principal assistant to the President, meaning that he performs the duties that are performed by the President. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the Deputy President has gone around this country talking about shares, meaning that he has put all the tribes of this country into coalition. And I want to thank the member who brought this particular motion, because we are saving this country from somebody who is, I would call a suicide bomber, somebody who is ready to die, somebody who wants to die with Kenyans. And we want to say that we are ready to fight tribalism, ensure that this country continues in...
Your time is up, Kangara Kasheri. Give Honorable Njeri the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to vehemently oppose this motion on behalf of the great people of Kirinyaga. Honorable Speaker, it begs the question, does it not prick our conscience as a House that barely 4 months after passing the grossly unpopular finance bill, which the President himself refused and declined to assent to, that we're here discussing an impeachment motion of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya? Honorable Speaker, the young people of this nation unequivocally told us to fix high unemployment levels among the young people, gross corruption at all levels of government, accountability issues in regard to leadership, our ailing healthcare sector, among other things. Honorable Speaker, many young people died on that day, Honorable Speaker. Several others to date are still missing, Honorable Speaker. It begs the question, the priorities we have as a 13th Parliament. Honorable Speaker, the motion before us is frivolous, it is baseless, it is lacking in substance. It is nothing but a shambolic political scheme to hang the truth to. Honorable Speaker, we must redeem the 13th Parliament, Honorable Speaker. We must ensure that we give...
Kasheris, take your seat. Yes, Donya. Give Donya the mic. Hold Jerry, you have about...
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is Honorable Gachagua in order to bring things which have passed, like the finance bill, when we are discussing about the impeachment motion? Those... And Gachagua is my friend, but this one you are wrong, my dear. We are discussing about the impeachment of Gachagua, not finance bill. Let the forgone be the forgone.
Honorable Speaker, I would want the Honorable Member, who is my very good friend, to point what standing order she rose on and what standing order can ensure that I do not speak on matters that have been controverted and that are public information, Honorable Speaker. We passed the finance bill, Honorable Speaker. It is a matter of fact. Even if you boo me, I will speak. The young people of this nation deserve more. They want jobs. They want healthcare sorted. The impeachment of the Deputy President is a sham political process.
Kasheri, order. Jerry shall be heard in silence and dignity. But Jerry, your time is up. Women of Migori. Yes, Wanjala. What is out of order? Give Wanjala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the person who is accused, whom we are debating, was supposed to be here by 5. It is 7 minutes past 5.
He actually is.
Mr. Speaker, can we bar him from coming because he's late?
Wanjala, he's already here. Yes. Migori Women Rep. Give to Fatuma. Yes. I look for you to speak. You had gone out.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Kindly protect me, Mr. Speaker. I can't be heard, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Excuse me, Honorable Member. Please give me time to speak. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity you have given me. And as I stand here as a Muslim, I don't know when I'll die. In case I die before the impeachment time, I vote yes, GACHAGUA must go. Mr. Speaker, I will take you to the Bible, Proverbs 23:10, verse 11. And it says, please keep quiet. And it says, don't move an old stone that marks a border, and don't take fields that belong to the orphans. God, their defender, is strong. He will take their side against you. I want GACHAGUA to know, the former Deputy President of Kenya should know that when you touch anything of the orphans, it is not Kenya Kwanza, it is not Azimio, but it is God Almighty that will put the fire on you. I will return to the Quran. The Holy Quran in Surah An-Nisa said, surely those who eat up property of the orphans unjustly, they will enter a blazing fire. I am telling the former Deputy President of Kenya that you have eaten fire into your belly, and the fire will surely burn you. Mr. Speaker, as I finish, Mr. Speaker, I have heard that the Deputy President has 21 lawyers. How much does the Deputy President earn to have 21 lawyers? And I understand each lawyer is paid 10 million. And I'm telling Kenyans, it is your taxpayers' money.
Time is up. Rueda. We are coming to an end. Order, honorable members. I've given the floor to member for Lamu East.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, umoja wa taifa ni muhimu sana, na vile ilivyofanyika na naibu wa rais ilionekana kwamba hakuna umoja. Nataka ieleweke kwamba watu wa mlima wanaishi sehemu zingine. Kule kwangu Kiunga niko na watu wa mlima, na kile wanachoona zaidi ni sand dunes. Hawaoni mlima, wanaona bahari. Nataka niseme ile kuzungumzia kuhusu NIS ilikuwa ni grave mistake. Wamekosea sana. Afadhali angetaja Nurdin kama akona shida naye kuliko institution ya NIS. Ni kutufanya sisi tukae dhaifu katika maadui zetu. Kwa mfano Al-Shabaab wataona vipi sisi kama tuko weak. Ingine nasema, ukiwa unatukana mwanamke, na tena hii ikuwe kwa mtu yoyote, yule anatukana mwanamke ajue mwanamume yote anatukana mwanamke, mashimo yako 7 kwa kila mtu alioumbwa. Wanaume wanayo, wanawake wanayo. Kama ni malaya basi ni wote wanaweza kutumia kwa malaya. Hii jina ya malaya nimechoka kusikia. Ingine naulizwa mashimo ni haya mawili ya pua, ya masikio, ya mdomo na yale mengine mawili. Kila mtu ako nayo. Ingine nataka niseme, sisi tunafundishwa Kiislamu kuheshimu wajane na mayatima. Ikiwa kuna mtu haiheshimu majane na mayatima, basi hairuhusiwi kidini yetu. Asante Bwana Spika.
Order. Member for Kipipiri, take your seat. Yes, Milemba.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for this. The mood in the House is such that it's already 5. And Honorable Speaker, it's my plea to you that the country is weary. We move to the next stage so that we may hear the Deputy President speak. Remember, these are motions which has timelines. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, members. If you listen to the Speaker, when I called out Member for Lamu, I said she was going to be the last one. So she is indeed the last one on this. The interaction on the motion. Order. Order, members. The interaction of members on the motion has been very, very intense. Order, honorable members. Member for Machakos, keep your cool, Mami. Keep your cool. Yes, keep your cool. The members who have spoken are many. It is not possible for each and every one of us to speak on the same motion. For those who have spoken, I appreciate you for your tremendous industry for and against the motion. Now, His Excellency the Deputy President is in the chamber, and he is accompanied, I believe, by his legal team or assistants. We will now move to the next stage. You remember I had advised the House, Order Joyce Kamene. This is not a moment where the Speaker can exercise the option to exclude you from proceedings, but I know you differently. You are normally a very dignified person. I don't know what is the problem today.